What up, boys? I'm back with the market shenanigans once again. Week 24. I only have two trades here, so I thought I'm gonna take this time and go back a few weeks and just check what has been going on, because I remember I used to do that and I don't do that too much anymore. And I do have a little bit of a refinement, a simplification, so to say, to stick to my rules a little bit easier. I like to every now and then just update my system. I recently saw a tweet from Anton, something that I used to say a lot, and I'm happy to see him preaching it forward. And he says that you should be able to explain your whole system in a single sentence. I don't know, a single sentence is maybe a little bit extreme, but you get the point, right? It should be relatively simple. So you should be able to say a couple of sentences, maybe 3, 4, and be able to explain what it is you're doing. And that is exactly what I attempted as well. I mean, I've been trying to attempt it this whole time, and I would always create these different schematics and like sequences and whatnot, rules, guides, whatever you want to call it. And I have a new updated version, so I'm going to be talking about that a little bit. And there's a very specific reason why I did that. It's one of the mistakes, or one of the traits that I took this week that I consider to be a mistake. And as always, whenever that happens, I just try to figure out how to troubleshoot it and how to prevent it in the future. How can I create a very simple, easy to follow rule that will prevent me from taking such a trade in the future? So without further ado, let's go into some kind of week. Let's go, for example, into this one and just see what went well. So patient and followed rules. So what went bad? I didn't take two valid trades for kind of silly reasons. Okay. And let's be more careful with the deep V-shaped pullbacks. Yes, absolutely. V-shaped pullbacks has been a big topic for me. And I have decided these days to really kind of almost completely remove them from my trading. Sometimes when there's a V-shape, I'm okay to continue trading in that range if there is a stage one, because that is some kind of proof of weak to strong, right? Some kind of consolidation and whatnot, some kind of back and forth, and then I can spot a breakout. So that's okay, but whenever there is a V-shaped pullback, I will not look to trade any immediate continuations, pretty much. So here, I slept in and missed a beautiful +5. Yeah, that sometimes happens, especially when I have a bad night. I should try and wake up, honestly, like especially London Open and New York Open, and the like 1-2 hours following that event, or those events, are the most important ones for scalpers, I would say. So yeah, sleeping in is not the best. Here I didn't even fill anything in. Okay, what about this? Again, patient followed rules and missed a valid trade. All right, yep, that sometimes happens. Here I traded a choppy E, so let's take a look. Is that the JPN trade? Yes, I remember this trade. And I've been paying attention to what these setups look like, and usually, like, first of all, it's pretty clear that this is wiki as fuck, right? I guess I was a bit horny, and I just took this trade because I was like, I want to trade. Nah, like, whenever I see this kind of stuff, like this move here and this move here, wow, that's very thick. This move here and this move here, those are big sell candles. Like, there's imbalance against my direction. It's just not good. And even though it is a reaccumulation and some lows are being liquidated, right? It's about how this is happening. It's about, well, first of all, it's okay. It's not necessarily deep, right? Like, this is the 50 maybe, and it does go here, so it qualifies as a shallow pullback. But that's just one of many rules that evaluates the pullback or the reaccumulation itself. And usually what I want to see is just some kind of nice contained selling, nice waves and whatnot, but not this erratic, huge moves to the downside. So this was just choppy, and I did not like that. And here I traded a 100-minute stage one. Yeah, absolutely. And this is also a V-shaped pullback, right? So here there's some kind of resistance. We break out of that resistance. Now the expectation would be that the momentum cycle continues. So we maybe pull back into the EMAs and build build up here, and that would be an amazing trade. But instead what happens is we dump hard, we bounce off of a demand zone. Yeah, that's nice. And here we continue higher. Okay, well, but on the 100 minute, at least, I need to see a pullback into the rising 1020 and there maybe rebuild itself to take a trade. That might be valid, but perhaps the best thing to do here is already to just deem this whole thing as a stage 1 and to remove it completely. So yeah, that's that. And just like that, we are back to this week. Okay, cool. So let's open up my Notion here and see what's going on. All right. And yeah, so Monday, nothing, right? Let's take a look at Tuesday. So I was only looking at one thing, and that's some kind of crypto, and that's Polygon over here. So on the weekly, this is trending, right? Clearly, big moves in my direction. This looks relatively consistent. Rising EMAs and everything, this is good. And on the daily, we have some kind of stage 1 here, and it breaks higher. Quite a lot of wicks, but it's okay, and it pulls back into the rising 1020. If this rebuilds itself above the EMAs on the daily, I think it's completely fine to take it. And here's my watch list. I've been watching some cryptos, and these are shorts, by the way. So I feel like Bitcoin is currently in a good position to be shorted. So of course I am looking for some relative weakness in the market, and I'm looking for the weakest ones that I can share, that I can trade. I traded layer 0 last week, I think. That was a break even. And it does continue higher. It's fairly choppy and whatnot. I prevented a -1, which is nice. But yeah, basically, this wouldn't hit. It's whatever. Here's Polygon, right? I think this is amazing. I think this looks really, really good. We have a big, strong impulse over here that breaks above some kind of resistance, above some stage 1 or whatnot. And then it pulls back in a nice contained way. I can draw a diagonal and I can draw a horizontal, some kind of flippy, right? Some kind of level that had a lot of interactions both on the support and the resistance side. And we see a breakout out of there and a pullback into the rising 1020. This is perfect. And this is a 100-minute entry. So as this pulls back, maybe in an ideal scenario, I would look into a lower time frame and see some lows liquidated here before I set up the buy stop. And I think that's actually what I do. And this is the trade that I take. I really, really like this. This is like a perfect setup, right? It has reignition over here. I cannot see, because this is my watch list screen, I don't have the imbalances visible, but there's clearly imbalances here. So this impulse over here, I would definitely deem this as reignition. And now as this pulls back, as long as this is a pullback towards the rising 1020 and it doesn't go sideways for too long and loses all of its momentum, I'm happy to set up the buy stop. Here I'm also looking at Cardano, very nice move higher. And now it's reaccumulating, right? It's creating the diagonal. It's creating a flippy as well. There is a support right here that is now turning into resistance. So if this broke out and created some kind of nice reignition that pulls back into the rising 1020, I would be happy to trade that. Same situation here with Chainlink. Honestly, Chainlink looks a little bit weaker compared to Cardano. Cardano is definitely nice, and Polygon is nice too. So yeah, that's the stuff I look at. Screened for some crypto shorts. Most are currently in Redis without a reignition just yet. Polyg is the only one with reignition, so might take a trade, and I do actually take a trade. So let's check it out. We already know the weekly and the daily, right? So here's the 1000, some kind of resistance here, and a big, strong, fat breakout, right? That pulls back into the rising 1020. Beautiful. And if we have reignition here and it rebuilds itself somehow, happy to trade. That's exactly what happens. We see this on the 100, and this is a 100-minute trade, as I already said. And I think this is absolutely perfect. And as I talked about the lower time frame, here we are on the 10-minute, clearly some kind of low liquidated, making this a very clean reaccumulation. So happy to set up the buy stop. I think this trade was absolutely perfect. So here I write 100-minute E, cool. Here it goes higher a little bit. I'm on the 15-minute because Hyperliquid doesn't have 10-minute, so it's the same shit. It pulls back, and as it breaks into a new high over here, that's when I move to break even. And that, unfortunately, I cannot go back in time here, but basically I leave it running overnight and I wake up to it seeing that it hit break even, and that's fine. And actually this ends up hitting my break even here just by a tiny little bit and then continues quite a bit higher. It doesn't hit target though, and it's now kind of chopping sideways, so I don't think I missed anything. But most importantly, this was a good trade. I really like this trade. And what is this? So yeah, I closed it. It was a BE. And maybe I should write down the max RR. I guess I can do that, right? The max RR before hitting break even was 1.81. Okay, let's do that. 1.81. Cool. So go back to Miro and just say that this was perfect. Nice. Back to Notion. Pollock trade still running, going to bed. Pollock hit BE overnight. Cool. So that was Tuesday. Wednesday. Here I put BTC just so I can see that I am looking for shorts in crypto in general. I use BTC as the main index for cryptos. And yeah, this indeed looks very, very good for continuations lower. So any kind of relative weakness in the market, I would be looking to trade, right? And I don't really fill anything out here, and I take a trade very, very late in the day. But it's a 24/7 market, so it doesn't really matter. And it's on MNT. So, yeah. And, oh yes, I remember, I actually make a mistake here. So first of all, let's talk about the trade over here. So here we are on the 1000, right? We have some kind of stage one over here, some kind of sideways market that breaks out very, very strongly and pulls back into the rising 1020. This is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I love this. This is good. And here we are on the 100 minute, and it's a 100 minute E. And this is what I want to talk about today. This is going to be the main focus because I got tapped in over here. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is bullshit. That I don't think this should happen. I don't think, well, I know that this is not how I want to trade. And it kind of sucks that I make a mistake. And this was with real money, by the way. I trade cryptos with real money. So I lost $100 on this, but that's okay. I'm going to make sure that this doesn't happen to me again, especially now that I actually feel the loss of it. This is just going to be one additional tiny refinement that is going to filter out even more price action. So usually I have been paying a lot of attention to everything that happens before the entry, right? Before the ideal entry. The stage two, the quality of the stage two, the impulsiveness, the wickiness, the choppiness, the imbalances, the EMAs and everything. Just determining that this is a good stage two where I actually want to get involved in the reaccumulation. Then the pullback, right? Orderly pullback with nice waves, diagonal, horizontal flippy, reignition, imbalance, all of that stuff. All of that is met here, right? And then we have the reignition over here that I draw. Let me just delete this. Then we have the reignition. Everything is looking nice. And here it pulls back into the rising 1020. Perfect. So I'm willing to set up the buy stop. But what then? I want to, look, I'm not saying whether something is right or wrong. Maybe this actually works or whatnot. But what I'm saying is that in the future, going forward, I really want to trade only by being tapped in as part of a new momentum cycle. In the reignition, in the reaccumulation, I'm looking for reignition that starts a new momentum cycle and continues, right? So pretty much here, I'm looking for an MMB that I can buy stop. This was an MMB up until around here. And after this, it pretty much lost momentum, I would say. Because in order for this to be a momentum cycle, we want to see something like this, right? We want to see the impulsive legs. We want to see something like, actually, let me duplicate this because I know exactly what I want to look at. I want to go into my weekly analyses and I want to go into I think here. Perhaps it's in lessons or whatnot. Actually, isn't it in Miro? It isn't. Crazy, crazy. I'm looking for a very specific thing. I'm looking for one of those momentum cycles that I traded on NAS. But unfortunately, I can't quite find it. That's unfortunate. I think it was week 22, man. I think it was. Okay. Maybe I can simply go here and just take a look at one of those. This is a bit unfortunate. I really thought that I have it like prepared somewhere, but looks like I don't. Was it here perhaps? No. Well, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. All right, whatever. Basically, what I'm saying is that I want to participate on really good momentum cycles, and really good momentum cycles are good from the beginning, right? They are good already here. So good momentum cycles do not look like this. They don't. This is not an MMB, okay? This is, if anything, a stage one. It's a continuation. And if I wanted to trade this, I would need to wait for a breakout here and a pullback into the rising 1020 to create an MMB, and then I could buy stop it. That would be correct. But this is garbage. So what is the new refinement? The new refinement is that on an entry, whenever I'm trying to buy stop something, it has to be an MMB, right? It just has to be an MMB. And if this was a higher time frame and I would be looking for, let's say, a 10-minute entry, well, it would be valid to look for an entry over here. But the moment that the 100 would fail and continue here, I would not be looking for entries over here. I would once again be looking for this breakout, and I would be looking for entries over here. So that's just something that I want to ensure I don't do again in the future, because I really think that this made no sense. Because if I buy, the difference between buy stopping here and buy stopping here is, in my opinion, enormous, right? Because if I buy stop here, what I'm saying is I am participating on fresh momentum. If I buy stop here, what's happening is I already have a sideways market over here, which could be either accumulation or distribution, right? And I think the likelihood of being tapped in here for the purpose of some kind of redistribution is so much higher. And I just want to filter that out. I want to eliminate any such risk so that I can perhaps participate right over here, as I said. So that's exactly what happens, by the way. I get tapped in like this, and I get pretty much instantly fucked up. Well, not instantly, because this is an hourly, so it takes some time. But yeah, this is exactly what I would expect to happen, because this was already a stage one. So the likelihood of this just being a liquidity grab and a fake out is, in my opinion, much, much higher than if it happened over here. Okay? So that would mean that this was 100% a mistake. Okay. Let's go back to here. And another thing is, I even failed execution here a little bit. I got a little bit bamboozled with the fact that it was a short, and I actually put a limit order instead of a stop order. So I got involved a little bit earlier than I wanted. So I got filled prematurely, not cool. So I did get tapped in anyway over here. So cool, and that's a -1. Yeah. So -1, definitely a mistake. And it's closed, and now mistake why? Why is it a mistake? Stage 1, right? I might not have a thingy for this. Like, yeah, I do have stage 1. And also ugly entry. Do I have something like ugly entry? Yes, I do. Okay. Let me write here as well. This was not an MMB buy stop. it failed and went sideways, fizzled, lost all momentum, was supposed to cancel the order. Boom. All right. So let's take this, put this lower, put this thingy over here. Okay, I'm gonna have to put that even lower. Yo, what? Okay. Whoop. So, what went well? Overall, I think I was patient. And I did follow rules, sort of, because most importantly, I didn't really have a specification of the rule like I have now, with all the stuff that I talked about over here, right? So I think that went pretty well. But what went bad was, I traded a fizzled momentum E. That's what I'm going to call it. And I'm going to take some screenshots here. Boop. Maybe I should add some text here as well. Let's do that. Wow, whoa, that's huge. Blah, blah. Okay, that's good. So, valid to buy stop until here. That seems, yo, what? Okay, that seems kind of okay. Let's do this. Nice. And copy. Here, the setup failed. This. Here, the setup failed. Okay. Should wait for new MMB to form. Let's do this. And also, like that. And write stage 1. Maybe make that a little bit bigger. A little bit smaller. Okay, that looks pretty good. That explains it quite well. Well, what was that? All right, remove. Cool, and let's take a screenshot. Boom. All right, and we put that over here. Nice. So what are the results? Well, first of all, this was the mistake. I'm done with that. Okay, that's Wednesday. Thursday, I didn't even look at the markets, and Friday, I think I didn't look at the markets either. So let's write this. Okay, let's go to analysis. Trades taken. So overall, I'm down minus 1.4. And if I trade it perfectly, I would only take one trade and I would be down minus 0.2 if perfect. All right. So once again, this just took a toll on my overall EV a little bit, which sucks, but it's okay as long as I can learn my lesson. So that leaves me to the final part of today's analysis part, and that is this. This is something that I drew out just to ensure that this kind of stuff does not happen anymore. So I usually look at the weekly and the daily in my contexts, right? And I only trade markets that have a big weekly move, pretty much. And then I look at the 1,000, 110, blah, 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 all of that stuff, right? And those need to meet certain rules. I'm actually, over time, starting to lean more towards simply looking at the 1,000 as my highest time frame. I think it's more than good enough. And if I look for situations such as these, under 1,000, like this MMB over here, or this MMB over here, I think that's going to be just perfect and good enough as long as I avoid choppy price action. Like nothing over here on the 1000 was interesting, right? Even though it's such a high time frame, I have to wait for the really, really pristine moments such as this one. And if I do that, I think the 1000 can easily be my highest time frame. But anyway, here we are, right? 1000 minute, what needs to happen? There needs to be some kind of stage one and there needs to be a breakout. The breakout needs to be strong, it needs to be a big body candle, and usually it's there's imbalance as well. And now we're here. This is very important because there is this run over here, right? In the past, I would be making the mistake that I would be waiting for an MMB to happen over here. Oh, sorry. To happen over here on the 1000, and I would miss so much potential profit over here because this stuff can go, right? And that's also what Anton talks about. We don't need that. What we do need, however, is an MMB on the lower time frame. So if I go to the lower, which is the 100 for me, and of course I don't need to stick perfectly to these zoom levels, I can always like shuffle around a little bit to adjacent time frames. Let's say I can go to an hourly, I can go to a 4 hour or whatnot. That's part of being a trader, right? To assess the price action from many different perspectives to make sense of it. But in general, these are like my base level zooms. This is how I make sense of the market. I look at the 1100 and I see what's going on. 10x difference is good enough to see the microstructure of the bigger move. So let's say this is just the microstructure of this bigger move and I want to assess this push over here, right? As this breaks out, what I'm definitely looking for is an MMB. I'm looking for a pullback into the rising 1020 over here. And that's when I can start looking for trades, okay? So here we want to see a strong stage 2, most definitely. That's this part over here. This, by the way, can easily be, for example, here as well. That could work as well. As long as this push is not overextended, I can easily follow it. But I do need an MMB on the 100, definitely. I do not want to trade this part over here on, let's say, a 10 or 1 minute or a 10 second. I want to let this go sideways and then start looking for trades. So pull back into the rising 20, cool. And here, as it creates an MMB on the 100, the microstructure of that is going to look like this. There's going to be a strong stage 2, right? Just like, for example, just like over here, strong stage 2, and that's going to reaccumulate, right? And here we are going to look at our reaccumulation rules. So strong stage 2, as I said, imbalance, all that stuff, big bodied candles, small opposite direction candles, ideally to have a one-sided market, which is critical that it has two parts of it, right? There's overwhelming demand and there is a lack of supply. Then I want to see a pullback that is orderly. What I mean by that is that I can see nice contained selling that doesn't have too many big ass bearish candles in it, that forms a diagonal and also a horizontal, because that's a nice pullback. And then I can clearly define a breakout, right? I want to have a level that had interactions before as support and as resistance, so that when I have a breakout, I can with clarity say, yes, we are reigniting. This is the main concept for me in reaccumulations, is reignition, and that's this. And as it reignites, I can start following for a trade, right? But the thing is, and this is the new refinement, as it reignites, I can of course trade it, but the moment it starts pulling back and it loses its momentum cycle, that's when it becomes stage 1 again and I cannot trade it. So ideally it creates an MMB. But if this fizzles out, there is no buy stop here, right? Never a buy stop. And if this is a higher time frame and I want to trade this on the 1 minute or 10 second, again, I can't. I have to wait for a new breakout. I just have to. There's no other way. So let the pullback define itself well, horizontal diagonal, reignition, and here, yes, MMB1. I need to trade the MMB1. So this is going to be my main focus to, well, pretty much I was trying to put together a sequence of how I can trade. And the final step of the sequence for me was the reignition. But now I'm adding one more step. And that is that after the reignition, there needs to be a pullback. Well, basically, there needs the momentum has to not fizzle. That's pretty much it. The moment it fizzles, just like it did here in the mental trade, the moment it fizzles from here on forward, it's done. It's considered stage 1. It's no longer an MMB. Therefore, it's no longer tradable. It's no longer buy stoppable. It's no longer valid to look for a trade here on the lower time frame. This is after here, it's officially a stage 1 and I have to sit it out. All right. So that is the new refinement. I'm adding one more step to my sequence. And I think this is going to help me tremendously to filter out a lot of potentially failed setups. So yeah, that's going to be it for today. Let me set up the new week. Actually, let's do this first. Okay. How does this work? All right. So week 25, what to focus on? Like this, okay. Filter out choppy wiki, blah, blah, blah. Yes, and how do I formulate this? I want to say something like, ensure the momentum doesn't fizzle after reignition. So how do I say this? Yeah, ensure momentum doesn't fizzle after reignition. Stage 1 rule. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. All right, and last thing, I have to fill out this and add another loss here. Unfortunately, but it is what it is. So let me go back here real quick. Trades taken. Okay, it was a crypto. It was taken on June 9 at 10:08. Whatever. And that was a minus 0.2. Actually, it wasn't, to be honest. Like, the fees are so fucking low. With my capital, this is more like a minus 0.05, but it's okay. I'm gonna write it like this. And lastly, there is one more crypto on June 10. No. June 10. Okay, at 23.23 minus 1.2. Okay, back at 20 RDD. Not cool, but it is what it is. Need to continue doing better, but I really feel confident that this most recent rule refinement is going to do me good, and it's going to filter out a lot of bullshit, because this is going to be a fractal rule. So it's going to potentially filter out so many trades, because it also applies to the higher time frames, right? Once I have reignition, I have to ensure that momentum doesn't fizzles, yeah. And I do that by ensuring that I only continue trading the reignition as long as there is an MMB, as long as price stays above the rising 1020, right? So yeah, that's going to be it for today. A little bit of a longer session, but yeah, that's okay. So yeah, GG's. See ya.